When you grab that powerful alter ego, or find that powerful alter ego, and you invite him or her to lead, for example, Cassius Clay, who did he become? Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer who ever lived, right? Even Superman, Clark Kent, Superman, right? You find that the Incredible Hulk is the normal scientist, then he becomes the Incredible Hulk. For me, I had Weak-Ass Willie and Magic Mike. That powerful alter ego is what pulled me out of a season when I lost $1 million, and also helped me start creating my new identity, my new pathway as a leader, entrepreneur, and guide for other high-performing leaders. Today, I'm going to break down the most powerful force in the universe, which is your identity. And we're going to talk about the law of identity, identity shifting, and the 5 most powerful tools to rewire your identity in 90 days or less. So before we begin, I want to start with a quote from the legend himself, Mr. Tony Robbins, one of the most powerful men in the universe in the sense of how he's changed people's lives and how he's deeply changed me. I've actually spent 1,447 hours with him, had personal conversations with him when I was in his Platinum Partners program, and he's been a big impact in my life. And I want to share a quote he says: "All lasting change in your life is a change in identity. Everything else is a fight. Identity is the most powerful force that controls the human psyche. Change your identity, change your life. Expand your identity, expand your life. Shrink your identity, shrink your life." And then you go back to another guy named Jesus. He says a good tree cannot produce bad fruit, and a bad tree cannot produce good fruit. Well, I would argue that because 93% of who we are is unconscious programming, meaning we're programmed to live the way you're living right now, you're programmed to get the results you're getting right now, and most of our thoughts today are the same thoughts we had yesterday, right? 90% of our thoughts today are the same thoughts we had yesterday. So that all is rooted in your identity, which is why it's so powerful if you shift your identity. For example, if you are a smoker, you're someone who smokes. If you're an athlete, you're someone who exercises and trains. If you're a retired athlete, you may not actually train anymore. That was the old you, right? But if you're a current athlete, guess what? You're training. You're eating right. You're doing the things to get yourself in shape and to be at your best. Well, same thing in our lives, right? If we are seeing ourselves as a victim, if we are seeing ourselves as a overcomer, if we are seeing ourselves as poor or rich or wealthy or destined for wealth, or whatever it may be, or we're a victim of trauma, so we're always, quote, traumatized, instead of we are overcomer of trauma, right? So our identity is a reflection of the combinations of our thoughts, our actions, and our feelings around ourself. It's actually how we see ourselves. It's our worldview on you, okay? It's your worldview on you is another way to think about it. And as we break down some of the most powerful techniques for changing your identity, I want you to really recognize that if you want to bring your best self into the world, then you've got to shift your identity. You've got to shift how you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. And you've got to basically shift your habitual patterns, the common patterns you find yourself in. And there's 2 main ways that I've found that we do this, which is the first part is letting go. And this is why the deep work I do around trauma and PTSD, it's actually a lot of deep work around identity as well, and those stories that get frozen in our nervous system. For example, I had a client that he had a lot of shame happen in his life, and he had 3 major scenarios of shame. And one of them, he unfortunately went to prison, right? Many years ago, like 15 years ago, and it was just an unfortunate thing. He didn't really deserve to, but he did. And then that became part of his identity. Well, as we worked through it, guess what? That energy of the shame was released, and he let go. And guess what? His joy came back, his power came back, his presence came back in his personal life and in his marriage, and also in his business, because he was no longer held captive, and he had let go of this dead weight that was holding him back. Sometimes we have stuff from our parents or ancestors that is stuck in us, or our culture, or a boss, or someone that just imprinted something on us when we were young and impressionable. But we've got to let go of that so that we can receive our higher self. And this is the part of you that is above and beyond who's showing up right now. And I would argue that the person showing up right now is the real imposter. The real imposter in your life We get obsessed with imposter syndrome, and the real imposter in your life is the person that has shown up beneath your highest potential. That's the person showing up today, right? There's another version of you. There's another version of me that is stronger and better and truer to who I really am, or truer to who you really are. Okay? So what if the person showing up today is the real imposter? I want to plant that seed there. So now how do we actually change our identity? All right? I want to give a couple examples, famous examples. First one, Beyonce. Beyonce was a church choir girl. Guess what? How did she break free and become this dynamic entertainer and on a pathway to being a billionaire? She didn't grow up wealthy. She didn't grow up around wealth. She didn't have a wealthy identity necessarily growing up. Well, she created this powerful alter ego named Sasha Fierce, and that helped her step out of the shadow of the church in the sense of the restrictions of her being an entertainer. Okay? There's good and bad consequences of some of the shifts that we all make, right? But she stepped out of that, and she became this more powerful entertainer and presence and persona, and that gave her more intellectual freedom to explore and become and test, right? So you create a powerful alter ego that is deeply aligned with your higher self. What's that look like? So in my Claim Your Power meditation, I actually guide people to find part of that alter ego. When you find that powerful alter ego, I also have a worksheet that you can grab below. So be sure to grab that if you want. But it's one of the most powerful exercises you can ever find. When you grab that powerful alter ego, or find that powerful alter ego, and you invite him or her to lead. For example, Cassius Clay. Who did he become? Muhammad Ali, the greatest boxer who ever lived, right? Even Superman. Clark Kent, Superman. Right? You find that the Incredible Hulk is the normal scientist, then he becomes an Incredible Hulk. For me, I had Weak-Ass Willie and Magic Mike. That powerful alter ego is what pulled me out of a season when I lost $1 million, and also helped me start creating my new identity, my new pathway as a leader, entrepreneur, and guide for other high-performing leaders. All right? So after you've let go of the process of, or let go of the traumas and the fears and old identities. By the way, if you haven't looked at my MDMA video on the process of a guided MDMA session, which if you're battling trauma or PTSD, I would highly look into that and watch it. If you're not, no worries. Just do the Claim Your Power alter ego. If you don't have anything that is blocking you from accessing your deeper areas of your subconscious, you don't need that, okay? Just do the Claim Your Power. But it's going to be a really powerful process for those that are needing to let go of significant areas of trauma and PTSD. Second, the receiving. Receiving is opening yourself up. Seek and you shall find, as Jesus said. But you receive when you are open to what your higher self wants to bring into your life. Guess what? It will start showing up. But you have to be energetically open, not just open in your mind, because your heart is 65 times more electromagnetically powerful than your mind. And that's where the law of vibration comes in. So when you think of the law of identity, is you are going to attract who you are. You are going to attract who you are. You're going to attract what you are. You're going to attract the types of people, the energy, and the environment. And hey, let's say you attract bad people, but you're a kind person. Well, that means you are attracting out of a woundedness. You're a good person or a kind person, but you're attracting out of woundedness. Okay, so poor boundaries, unhealed trauma that feels like you are unworthy. Okay, you are worthy, but you feel unworthy because of an unhealed trauma. And that's a lot of the work I do with a lot of clients. There's an elevation of self-worth that needs to happen because they're attracting in their life toxic men or toxic women or toxic bosses or jobs or roles or businesses that are floundering, right? Or just not going to the level that they know they're capable of. Okay? So naming your most powerful alter ego, grab the Claim Your Power exercise, do the NLP video that I've got. But as you get connected with your alter ego, for me it's Magic Mike or Hollywood Mike Z is another one, and I ask that person or that version of me to lead and guide. The second major thing, so we got 5. The second major thing is train your nervous system to look for evidence of your higher alter ego. Look for evidence of the truth that you are worthy. If you're like, hey, I'm working towards wealth. My identity is not of one who's broke, but is of someone who is wealthy and abundant. Well, then start training your nervous system for the smallest things. Whether, hey, I have plenty of food to eat. I have an abundance of friends. I live in an abundant state or city, right? So you start training your body and your nervous system to look for evidence. I have an abundance of books, abundance of opportunities. I might not have an abundance in my bank account, but I have abundance elsewhere. And that tells me that I'm worthy of abundance, okay? So, and then eventually the abundance in bank account starts showing up. The next one, third one, is affirmations. Affirmations are so powerful when they're deeply aligned with who you are now and who you feel like you're becoming. Okay, so now if I say I'm a billionaire, but I don't even have $1,000 in my bank account, and I feel scared, I'm in a deep state of scarcity, that's going to feel fake. Okay, so that's when affirmations don't work, when you create affirmations that just feel even more false. Okay, so you want to create, I am becoming financially healthier. That might be an affirmation. I am is one of the most powerful phrases for an affirmation that you could ever have. So you want to write out I am and then blank. Okay. Next one. Well, I want to encapsulate a little bit more on affirmations. So affirmations, write out 10 to 20 of them, all with the I am, and you can add an I am becoming, I am worthy of, I am learning to receive. Okay. That helps your nervous system feel congruent. You need to test and make sure that it feels congruent. And even if you can't get to like, I'm a multimillionaire, that's where you want to be. Then you write out, I am becoming financially successful, more financially successful. All right. So that you can feel true to that. And then as you get to, I am becoming more financially successful, then you might say, all right, I have $100,000 in the bank, or I'm attracting a job or business that I make $200,000 a year in. All right. So once you've made 100,000, etc., you get the idea where you just aim for the progress and then you move the goalpost. Aim for the progress. Once that feels congruent and you've achieved that, then you move the goalpost higher to the next goalpost that feels congruent with where you're going and it feels attainable. All right. So the fourth one, ask people to remind you of who you are. This is a big one. You want to think about the people around you and make sure that you have supportive people. Family members are not always supportive. Even spouses are not always supportive. So you want to look for the people that are truly supportive, that believe in you, and ask them to remind you of who you really are and what you're becoming. Okay, and so my wife and I will speak over each other where we're going. Sometimes, yes, we complain and we speak negatively of the past or whatever, but ideally we want to speak of where we're going, who we are, what we're becoming, and remind each other of that. And then the fifth thing, after you've surrounded yourself with even just a handful of people that are reminding you of that, that helps you elevate, helps you rise, because we rise together. You know, there's an old African proverb, I can go faster alone, but I can go further together. Okay. Fifth one is you get what you tolerate in life. This is where we got to cut out certain people and certain things and certain patterns in our life so that we can cut out the toxicity, cut out the abuse, cut out people that energetically bring us down, or environments that are just zapping us of life and vitality. Okay, so you got to cut those things out so that you can create space and room for the good, because it wants to come in too. I've noticed with, for example, some people I'm close to, like my wife, as she's reduced some of the toxic people in her life, guess what? Healthier people show up because she has room and space, and she's said, no, I do not tolerate this anymore. So I invite you to do the same. I've done the same. Cut out the things you will no longer tolerate step by step so that you can create space for more good to come into your life and for your identity to reflect your destiny. Okay, so much love, guys. If you like this video, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Let me know questions in the comments below. I will get to those as soon as possible. And share this video with a friend that you think might enjoy it as well. Much love. See you soon.